Well, hello. Welcome to another episode of Western Edge Living. I'm your host, Wild Bill Poenick, the media director at the North Dakota Cowboy Hall of Fame in historic Medora. And our program is brought to you each and every week by our great friends at CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson. Make sure you follow them on social media and stay up to date on some of the activities that they have throughout the year, like the one coming up on August 27th at 6 p.m. in the conference room at CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson on Fairway Street. They will have what's called Heart Safe Community Talk. It's a Tuesday evening, and you'll be filled with information from Dr. Susan B. Davis. She'll be having a community talk on the importance of CPR and AED readiness, describe the heart safe criteria, and much, much more. As I said, go to their Facebook page and find out more information on that and stay up to date on all the activities that they have at CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson throughout the year. We are here at the beautiful Home on the Range near Sentinel Butte, North Dakota. You might have seen a recent episode of our program where we featured Jolene Obergevich, the Director of Development here. But we're here today for another reason, because Home on the Range recently received a rather large grant. And this grant will help fund the Badlands Learning Center, an on-site school aimed at enhancing the facility's educational offering. It is a game changer for the folks here at Home on the Range and for the kids who come here to now learn. And we'll find out more about that. I've got a lot of questions. We've got some administrators for Home on the Range coming in, and we'll talk to them. And I think they may be bringing a four-legged friend with them. We'll see, but that'll be coming up on today's episode. Meanwhile, the North Dakota Cowboy Hall of Fame, your nominations for the class of 2025 are now open, and you got to get those submitted by mid-December. You can find out more information at northdakotacowboy.org. So kick back, relax, call the neighbors and tell them to turn on the TV, because Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson, starts now. CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson presents Western Edge Living.
Western Edge Living.
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you.
Medora Boot and Western Wear in the heart of historic Medora, open 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Boot is their middle name, and they have over 1,500 pairs of boots in stock for all ages and sizes. They also have the all-new Higher Boot, with more expected to arrive this summer. Western clothes, belts, caps, hats, and more, including a great line of toys and Longhorn wall decor. Medora Boot and Western Wear for the cowboy and cowgirl in you.
Medora Boot and Western Wear.
At Poncheros, we put a lot of work into building every burrito to last for about 10 minutes. Poncheros. Come build your better. At Poncheros, every tortilla starts as a small ball of dough. Then it's fresh pressed to perfection. That's just how we do it. Poncheros. Come build your better.
With hearing loss is a common problem, but it made me feel detached from those around me, particularly loved ones. Finally, I made the decision to contact Alliance Center for Hearing in Bismarck. They understand hearing loss and are very thorough in testing, diagnosis, and recommending a solution. Contact Alliance Center for Hearing to begin your journey to better hearing. Alliance Center for Hearing gave me my hearing back, which brought me closer to those who matter most in my life. And welcome back to Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson. How do we make the trek from 90 degrees at the arena at home on the range to the air-conditioned studios of Western Edge Living? That's the magic of TV. Anyway, as I pointed out in the introduction, we've got a couple of special guests today with some exciting news at home on the range. And with us now, my longtime friend, Laura Feldman, the Executive Director at Home on the Range. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Bill. Thanks for having me on.
I'm glad to have you. If you weren't here right now, what would you be doing?
Either paperwork or sweating in the arena taking orders from Greg.
Oh, boy. I'm glad you're here, and I bet you are too.
Me too.
You know, a while back, I'm on the committee for Champions Ride, and gosh, here at one of our meetings earlier in 2024, there was a buzz, there was an air of excitement, because that was about the time that the announcement came via the Dunn County Commissioners. Wow, you got a grant, and we now have the Badlands Learning Center. How exciting is that?
I'll tell you what, it is amazing. You know, our kids have been in public school up until June of this year, and it just became such a struggle for them. We don't have our kids very long, so about 3 to 4 months, and they just had a hard time accruing credits because they don't come at the beginning of the semester and leave at the end of the semester. So it was hard for them to accrue credits. They had a lot of behavior stuff that didn't necessarily fit in public high school. So we talked about partnering with the Center for Distance Ed in North Dakota and doing something a little bit different. We went, and Luann Rao hooked us up with Dunn County Commissioners, and we went up and visited with them and told them what we wanted to do, and they just amazed us by granting us $300,000.
$300,000.
I know, I can hardly say it without...
I know, and that had to open up so many doors for you.
I tell you what, for the first time ever in Home on the Range history, we have a special ed teacher on staff, and we just hired a wonderful occupational therapist. Home on the Range has never had that service before. So
what does that mean exactly, Laura? Let's back up a little bit. Prior to the Badlands Learning Center, the youth would come to Home on the Range. They obviously hadn't finished school yet. What were they allowed to do at that time, prior to this, as far as their education goes?
So historically, our kids would go to Beach High School, and they have a day treatment program, so our kids would go there, occasionally being allowed to go out for classes with the regular ed kids, or they had an on-campus classroom that they would utilize for kids who really struggled in school or hadn't been in school for years, those kinds of things. So that's what we used to do.
Okay. How does this change that? Now the kids can come and they can get credits. They can get credit for credits that they can bring credits to the program, or how does that work?
Yeah, we'll get their transcripts, so we'll know what classes they were in. And then Jeff, you'll meet him in just a little bit, gets in contact with the Center for Distance Ed, and they figure out what classes the kid needs to be in. We hook them up. The classes are done online, but they have an actual teacher, so if the kid has a question, they can email or set up an office call with the teacher. And it's work at your own pace, and they have support services in place if they need them. And then they complete the course, and they accrue that half credit. So, and I think Jeff has the stats, but I believe as of today, our kids had completed 20 courses, and it's only been since June 3rd.
No kidding.
So that's
My
10
goodness.
credits for our kids.
Wow. Now, the other therapy that the children get at Home on the Range, having the classes right there, does that make that part easier as far as getting them the therapy and the instructions and things they need?
Having school on campus has allowed so much flexibility so that our kids can do a couple hours of school, and typically our kids have a hard time maintaining more than a couple hours in school, and then we do some groups, right? Some therapeutic groups, some activity groups, and then they have lunch, and then they go back to school for a couple hours, and then again we insert therapeutic programming for them. So
Okay.
you might go to school and work on math for a couple hours, and then maybe you're going to go to the barn and work on rhythmic riding, or you're going to go work with a rescue dog and do some training exercises. Maybe you're going to go hiking for a couple hours in the afternoon. So it helps break up their day. It also allows for a whole campus of support if something happens in the classroom. So if a kid gets dysregulated and really starts to struggle, they call for assistance, and you have clinicians, you have an occupational therapist, you've got line staff, everybody there to assist the kid to get regulated again and back on track.
Okay.
It's wonderful.
So the $300,000, that opened you up to get the equipment that you needed, the learning tools that the kids needed. Is it also like Jeff's position and other positions in the Badlands Learning Center? Did that open up the possibility to add more staff?
It did, and it gave us enough confidence to really do things the right way and not just try and do it well enough, but to do it great. So it's the kids love it. You know, I walk through the school and, you know, a couple of kids will say, "Hey, Laura, blah, 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 blah," but they're on their computers and they're working and they're excited. I talked to one of the boys the other day and he was finishing his 4th class.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Wow.
4 classes.
The students, what's the reception of the students like in that kind of learning environment? That's not a typical learning environment.
No, it's not. And we did wonder if a kid was going to be able to stay focused that long enough. I think for the vast majority, it's working really well, and I think Jeff can speak more to that.
Okay.
But the fact that we've had 20 courses completed speaks to the fact that it's successful and passed, right? You know, the kids are allowed, they get essentially a $25 gift certificate to go shopping when they complete a course, so they're already doing their shopping halfway through, planning on what they're going to get.
Wonderful.
But yeah.
You and I visited roughly about a year ago, and I remember at that time, one of the big concerns at home on the range was trafficking. Where are we at today with that?
That continues to be a huge concern for us. The number of kids that come through our doors is staggering. Last year, we had 33 female admissions between January and December, and all but one of them had trafficking concerns. So either had been trafficking, were suspected, or had a number of what we would call red flags. Maybe they were running away or staying with older gentlemen, those kinds of things that were like, something's not right with that, that's risky. And then interestingly, we had about 40% of our males were flagging with concerns. And you'll see a lot of what's called sextortion with boys. So people online will get in contact with boys and they don't know who it is. They assume it's the pretty girl in the picture, right, that they're talking to. And then they'll extort them for money, or saying that they're going to get in contact with their coach or their dad or their girlfriend and tell them, you know, this kid sent me these pictures and do you know him? When really it's some overseas man.
My goodness. And that's I have to believe it's an epidemic in our country. Yeah. Back to the Badlands Learning Center. You got $300,000, and June 3rd, you got rolling on that. What's the future like? What are you going to need in the future? Is there you going to need more funding? What do you anticipate down the road?
Well, here's our wish list. I'll let you know.
Okay.
So at some point, we would love to do an addition onto our Karis building as our education building. And we'd like to add a couple more classrooms. With our OT, we have an increased need for space for her. You know, they do a lot of different assessments with kids that are physical, so maybe on a trampoline or with a big yoga ball. So things that take space and aren't your typical office items. So we would love to add an OT room and an office for her. Just, you know, dreaming big, that's where we'd like to see it go.
We wish you the best of luck, and you're well on your way, I can tell. Before we tune you loose and introduce the folks to Jeff, anything else you'd like to add? That a question perhaps I haven't asked, or something you'd like to share with our viewer today?
Gosh, you know, just so excited that we're off to a great start. I want everybody to know that our kids are wonderful and that they deserve everything that we're working to provide them. And I can't wait to see what their futures hold now that they have So many of them have some success at education now and some pride. When that gentleman told me he had completed 4 classes, I wish you could have seen the smile on his face.
I bet. Gosh, you're one of my favorite people. You know that, right? And you are the executive director at Home on the Range. Laura Feldman, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate that.
Well, thanks for having me, Bill. I appreciate it.
You bet. And the conversation continues in just a moment. You're going to meet Jeff, whom we've been talking to. And I think I promised you that perhaps a 4-legged friend would be joining us too. Is he here? Stay tuned and you'll find out. This is Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health.
You know I got 2 home runs.
You got 2 jacks.
And then my grand slam, I signed the ball for you.
Okay.
And it says, Papa, I love you.
Why did you do that?
Because you taught me everything about baseball.
I'm so sweet.
Problems have you down and you need to get back up and running? Then call the IT techs at Consolidated. Here's what our customers are saying.
Josh called moments after I sent my ticket in and resolved the issue in about 30 seconds after logging onto my computer. Very friendly and professional. Thank you.
Eric responded to our request very quickly and resolved the issue for us right away.
Great service from Brandon as always.
Amazing and helpful as always.
Let us help you with your IT issues. Call Consolidated Business Solutions 483-4000 today.
Service Pro Express Lube, now open on East Villar Dickinson, gets your vehicle serviced quickly and you're back on the road in no time. No appointment required. You don't even get out of your vehicle. They utilize Service Pro oil, the only oil produced and refined in the U.S., and it meets or exceeds vehicle manufacturer requirements. Plus, they top off all fluids and perform multi-point inspections. It's part of what's offered at Service Pro Express Lube. Students looking for a part-time gig? Inquire at Service Pro Express Lube. Ask about the Scholarship Incentive Program. Service Pro Express Lube, East Villar Dickinson, next to Lucky's. Hello, Brutus. So how long have you worked for Home on the Range? Do they treat you well there? You a pretty good boy? Yeah, you're a good boy, aren't you? Welcome back to Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson. And as promised, we've got our 4-legged buddy with it. I'm sorry, Jeff. I don't mean to be more excited about the dog than you.
That happens all the time.
I'm sure it does. This is Jeff Bertelson with Home on the Range. What is your official title? What capacity are you in?
I'm currently the education director at the Badlands Learning Center at Home on the Range.
How long have you been there?
I've been at Home on the Range for 27 years.
Okay.
But I've been doing the education piece, I want to say 5 years now.
Okay. We talked to Laura about the grant that came in and the establishment of the Badlands Learning Center. How excited were you when you got the news that it was you got the green light on it?
Again, it just gave us confidence to know we could do things right. You know, we could order the right equipment, we could get the right staff hired. It just took that burden off of your shoulders, knowing that you had some financial backing to do it right.
Brutus here. Does he have an official title? Is he your assistant teacher?
He's just Brutus.
He's just Brutus.
He's just Brutus.
That's all he has to be.
You're a good boy. Stay.
How do you incorporate with what Brutus offers the students into your program? What's his role?
He's just such a calming presence for the kids in the classroom. You know, and before the classroom, when I was working in the dorm and stuff, you know, and he was a part of that too. I mean, kids would request to have him to sit when they had to do a tough phone call, or sometimes they just need some brute time and just hang out with him, you know. And in the classroom, you know, he's a pretty good pillow. He'll lay there and kids will lay their head on him and read books and things like that. And just the ability to have the dog in the classroom. I mean, they just, you know, we have 4 classrooms that we staff, and every time I enter a classroom, if he happens to stay in one, the classroom I enter goes, "Where's Brutus? Is he coming over?" They all want time with Brutus. So.
I think he knows when you're talking about him, doesn't he?
Yes.
Because I had a percussion session going on here with the tail beating on the light here.
We can ask him if his tail works. Does your tail work, Brute? Brute, does your tail work?
Of course it does. Wow. What kind of training did you have to, you know, utilize a therapy dog into your classroom? What did you? How did you learn all that?
Well, you know, he got basic training through our K9 program, and then we've had some different staff that have, you know, worked with therapy dogs and things like that. And so it's just a matter of kind of taking their teachings and things that they had talked about and whatnot, and then being able to recognize, I mean, he absorbs a lot of stress in the day. Like if we have a stressful day in the classroom, he's worn out. We go home and he just wants to sleep all day. So being able to recognize when he needs a break and things like that have helped me to help him be successful.
I know we've met Les Barnhart, the equestrian therapist, if you will, at Home on the Range, and we saw the things that he offers his students through equine, horses. How does that compare to what Brutus is? I'm sure they complement one another, right?
Yeah, that's more in the canine program when they do the canine groups where they work those things and they talk about, doing different trainings with the dogs and how it relates to, maybe behaviors you had, a dog that doesn't listen. Have you had times in your life when you don't listen, things like that? As far as the classroom, Brutus is basically just his presence is what he's there for.
Yeah, takes the edge off.
Oh, yes.
Probably puts somebody in their comfort zone that might be a little, some anxiety goes away when he's around.
It's a great starter piece, especially when we get new kids in.
Yeah.
When you got to come to school and a new school and all that anxiety and all that, and all of a sudden, whoa, here's a dog. And instantly, can I pet your dog and play with Brute a little bit? And it just breaks the ice and allows those kids to relax a little bit in that new school setting.
Your role in the Badlands Learning Center, I'm sure it has its challenges, but I know the staff at Home on the Range, they feed off that and they meet those challenges. What are some of them? What are you faced with each and every day? Or what are some of the things that come out of left field, for example?
Yeah, well, in an education setting as ours, our kids are usually behind in school, or have not had a lot of success in school. Sometimes it's easier to misbehave than look like you don't know what you're doing, things like that. So we spend a lot of time just encouraging, working with the kids. We have what we call our learning coaches, or the staff that are in the classroom, and they individually work with kids on their assignments on the computers and whatnot. And we just spend a lot of time, building them up, keeping them on track and things. And so far, with our collaboration with the North Dakota Center of Distance Education, it's worked great. The kids have had a lot of success.
When the students would transition from Home on the Range back before the Badlands Learning Center and go to Beach High School, what was your role like then?
So I would spend time in either Beach High School or our on-campus classroom, helping supervise, kind of more of a behavioralist, helping deal with the behaviors, maintain class structure and things like that. And I still do that now. We just have the 4 classes on site where I can bounce between classroom and classroom and take Brutus along.
Yeah. Is it primarily junior high and high school students that you're working with?
Yep.
Okay. What about in the summer months? Is there a summer vacation at the Badlands Learning Center?
No,
there isn't.
We're full-time school. We started June 3rd, going full bore, and our schedule is broke up a little bit. I know Laura touched on that, where we have a couple hours of school, then they go to groups, lunch, and then a couple more hours of school. And again, we've only started this since June 3rd, but so far that schedule seemed to work real well. About an hour, 40 minutes or so, kids start to fade out and struggling to focus, and then boom, they get to go do some group or hiking or biking or things like that, and have lunch and come back again. And of course, after lunch, you got to rail them in a little bit, but then after that, we're usually good for a good hour and a half.
So it sounds like a lot of this is a typical classroom environment.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the goal? Is that what you strive for?
Yes and no. We want to have that structure of a classroom,
right?
But we also don't want to have it so strict where it's you sit in your chair and you only move when you raise your hand type thing. We want them to have freedom to be comfortable to work. So we have some different items, those rocker chairs and stools and pads on the floor and things like that. Like I said, they'll lay down with Brutus with their head as a pillow and work on their stuff and things like that. So there is some structure of a school setting, but there's also that freedom of movement to be in a comfortable space to work on your assignments.
Do you anticipate any needs in the future? You've been doing this since June, the Badlands Learning Center. Do you anticipate more needs, or do you see areas that you can improve, or other things that are needed?
Yeah. Well, of course, we always want to improve. We want to make sure that we're being successful with the kids. We've started out having all the kids register for about 2 classes each. And that seems to be about the right pace for most of our kids. Big wishes, like Laura had talked about. I'd love to add an addition to the building, to the Karis building, to add classrooms. One of our classroom is just a training room with a divider wall, which isn't soundproof, so there's some cross noise there and things like that. But being able to have an individual classroom for 2 boys classrooms, 2 girls classrooms, the different areas for our our special ed teacher and our occupational therapist, things like that. I have big visions on how I want to see that go. So.
Oh, well, we wish you the best of luck, and I'm sure that you'll turn your dream into a vision into a reality in short order. I mean, getting $300,000, who would ever thought that would have happened, huh? Yeah. No, where did you grow up? Where's home for?
I'm from Webo, Montana.
Oh, okay.
So
Eastern
been in Webo
Montana.
most of my life. Came to Dickinson, went to college here, played football here at DSU. Actually went back to home on the range, went to home on the range in '97 as a summer job.
Oh, wow.
It was just to fill a gap between a position I was going to take later in the summer, and I never left.
Really? No kidding. Wow. Good for you. Were you coached by Hank?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
You had a good time at being a Blue Hawk, didn't you?
Yes.
Wow.
Hank was a great
You have
coach.
A family now?
Yes. Oh, yes. I've got 3 kids. 3 grandkids and 1 on the way. So
no kidding. Well, congratulations. Your children are grown.
Yes. I have my oldest boy and our 3 grandchildren are in Billings. My middle child, our boy, and his fiance are in Billings, and then my daughter is actually here at Dickinson, going into her senior year.
Oh, great. So. What do you like to do with your spare time? Do you build birdhouses in the backyard?
No. I've been the head football coach in Webo for 25 years. So I've gone back there and coached football and coached my boys through high school. In football.
You're about ready to
off and on through basketball and things.
You're about ready to get back to 2-a-days here pretty quick,
We start the 16th.
All right. You get a lot of satisfaction out of being a coach. And I asked this because just last night I watched Friday Night Lights, and kind of right there on my conscience of what a coach means to these kids. And gosh, so you're offering who you are to these kids, whether it be on the football field, whether it be at the Badlands Learning Center, whether it be communicating with a dog. You are offering a lot of yourself, Jeff. That's got to be a lot of satisfaction with that, huh?
Yes. I've spent most of my, all my professional career working with kids and, athletics, football, and basketball, and at the Badlands Learning Center now. And
great. Somebody watching, they're thinking, hey, this Badlands Learning Center, this sounds like a good deal, because I know there's a lot of people in western North Dakota that are very willing to help, whether it be financially or however they can in education. And if there's somebody that's watching that wants to find out more about the Badlands Learning Center, can they come out to Home on the Range, maybe give Laura a call, and you'd give them a tour and show them what you have?
Oh, you bet. Be happy to.
Okay.
Yeah, we're real proud of what we've got going and what we see for the future.
You should be. Before we turn you loose, is there any question that I haven't asked that you maybe want to share with our viewer today? Is there something that I didn't touch on?
Just one more thing that we've been able to do over the last few years is we are a GED testing site also. So students that come in that maybe are 17 years old or 16 plus, you have to be to take a GED, and are way behind. So like a 16 or 17-year-old kid that has 0 credits, but may have some educational backing and strong enough, they can take their GED and pass their GED at Home on the Range.
Jeff Bertelson, thanks for your time today. Thanks for what you do. Thanks for introducing us to Brutus. Brutus, thanks for coming in today. Appreciate that. Is it that boring? Thank you, Jeff. Thanks, you, Brutus. Western Edge Living. Find us on Facebook. If you have an idea for the show or you want to be on the show, please run it by us. Send us a message. We've got a website coming real soon. We've shifted the domain to westernedgelivingtv.com. That'll be coming real soon. So until next time, thank you for watching Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson. Thank you for watching Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson.
Western Edge Living.
Download the Consolidated MyTV app, available now at Google Play or the App Store.